Sairam. Welcome to Devas Unlimited. This is a follow-up Q&A session after the webinar on the Golden Age. We want to express our deep gratitude to so many questions that we have received during the session and after that. And we will try our level best to answer them.
Shall we dive right in?
Absolutely.
Okay, here we go. How can we manifest the Shakti within? This was a repeat question that many people had asked. Actually the whole creation is feminine, right? The only masculine in creation is God, is the divine self. The rest of creation, whether you're in a male body or a female body, is Shakti. That's the truth. But how to manifest that divine feminine, that divine Shakti energy, that is that power, for that you need to go inside and really draw upon it. It's actually like a billion suns inside of you. You just have to make it manifest. But I think that Shivani, you have a Nad Brahma session devoted to this topic. Yes. So stay tuned and we'll share much more with you. Okay. The next question. This is a common one. How do you know, I'm going to paraphrase here. How do you know when you're receiving divine guidance if what you're hearing is God's will or your own monkey mind, right?
This seemed to be a common question though.
You want to take this?
Well, when you hear God's voice or when you feel God's guidance, you have a very deep sense of love, a very fantastic, beautiful sense of reassurance. But if it's coming from the mind, then it will be like at one moment the answer is this and at another moment the answer is something else. But remember, divine guidance is always repetitive in nature. Divine guidance always makes you happy. It helps you to feel uplifted. And you just know that it is the divine will.
So this kind of goes back to what we had mentioned during the workshop. You know that we have to start working from the heart. Mm-hmm. So many of these spiritual aspirants that we see are doing their entire sadhana from the mind. And as you know, the mind is nothing but a monkey mind. And you will never get anywhere. You will have done sadhana, your spiritual practice, for years and years, and you will still be practically the same. You'll be a nicer kind of person, but nothing will really change. The mind will always ask doubts. It will always ask questions, whereas the heart knows, right? The heart understands it. The heart has the answer. So do your sadhana from the heart. Actually go inside and feel your own heart first, then connect with the heart of the earth, the heart of other people around you, and then the heart of God himself. Then it becomes easy. Then all this question of how do I know whether it's my mind or whether God is really talking to me, those things don't even arise.
Right, absolutely.
Yep.
And this kind of leads us to this other question that we had that, how important is visualization for our sadhana? We have said this before also, that imagination is a fantastic tool that we all have. And so whether you want to imagine or whether you want to visualize, that really is the first step to help you to experience higher states of awareness. So don't just stop there saying, I am visualizing, I'm imagining, my mind is making it up, hence let me stop. No, take that leap. Go forward.
You should really feel whatever you're working on.
Yeah. Visualization will be a step towards your being able to feel.
Yes. Yeah. Now, we had a question about if I have a particular dream that I'd like to live or a passion that I'd like to follow, how do I differentiate whether that is coming from me, even if it's for a good cause to help others, or is it a desire that I have and I'm really not following God's will? So basically, again, this comes back to how do I know what is God's will or God's sankalpa? So can we just do that exercise with the hand thing? Yeah? Okay, so all of you watching, we're going to actually make you do a simple technique. I'm going to ask you to do something, okay? And the first time I say it, don't do anything. I'm going to ask you to do the same action again. The second time I say it, go ahead and follow what I ask you to do. It's very simple, okay? So I'm going to ask you now, but don't do anything. Please raise your hand. Okay? Now we're going to do it again. This time, please follow along. Please raise your hand. Okay. So that impulse, that energy, that it was just for a short second, that caused you to raise your hand, that is sankalpa. That is divine will. In this case, it was your own individual sankalpa. But when it comes to you and when it flows through you as God's will, that's what it feels like. It just activates you. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to analyze it. You don't have to judge or criticize it. It comes like a mighty river. And what we would suggest you do is, instead of saying, how am I following God's will? Just forget all that stuff. Just think there is only God's will and disappear entirely into God's will. Just melt away. Like you're standing in a mighty river and the river just dissolves your body away. That river is God's will, and you just dissolve completely into God's will. So every thought, every word, every deed, every impulse, everything should be coming from God's will. There should be nothing coming from you. Remember what we said. What you want, what you desire is totally meaningless. Nobody cares. What really matters is what is God's will and how is that manifesting in your life. When God's will manifests in your life through your thoughts, your words, and deeds, you're automatically in the golden age.
Right. Absolutely. Well, we also got a lot of questions about inability to feel God's love, or what is real love, or what is true love. And there seems to be a difficulty in people being able to experience that. So what I would like to share is that, we all know how our parental love is. Our parents are constantly giving us that love. So, or the love of a mother, right? Now imagine that multiplied 1,000 times or so many more times. That's the love that God can give you. A simple practice that can be done is, you can simply, so many times during the day, you can just say, breathing in, I feel God's love. Breathing in, I feel God's love. Breathing in, I feel God's love. Breathing out, I feel God's love. Just do this a few times. And so let's say 5 times, just to be more specific. And you will experience it. It's as simple as that. Because you are in that love. That love is all around you. It's not something that you have to put in a lot of effort to experience. Remember, you don't have to earn it. You don't have to deserve it. It is your birthright.
That's very good. My favorite meditation, my favorite sadhana is just to contemplate on God's pure love. That's enough, actually, because in that, everything else is taken care of and you don't have to do anything else. Just contemplate on God's pure, sweet love in your life. Do it many times throughout the day. And before you know it, you'll be immersed in that love. You won't have to say, how do I feel God's love? Because it happens automatically. Right. Okay. Should we go on to the next batch of questions then?
Sure. So, we did receive a lot of questions about how to deal with children. If the children are annoying us or irritating us, or if the children have a certain behavioral pattern, then what should we do?
I think also some people were saying if my spouse is also doing the same thing. Yes. Probably what they meant is if my husband is doing the same thing as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And we always say this, that the cutting ties that bind method kind of has a solution for everything. Mm-hmm. We did receive questions like, is cutting ties that bind the only method? Well, from what we have learned and what Swami has told us, that cutting ties symbols are new symbols for a new age. So since we are already in the new age, let's practice. Why should there be so much resistance to practicing this method? Swami has already given us all the tools. They're right there, right in front of you. Just go ahead and practice. And most of the symbols are barely 2 minutes of practice every day. I'm sure you can all find that much time. So whether it's with your spouse who's angry, or whether it's with children who are annoying you, or with any other situation, simply practice the figure of 8. And you'll be amazed at how instantly it works and how deeply it works.
We still remember that time when Sai Baba had told, actually it was to Shivani, to start learning cutting ties. We had sort of read the books a little bit and not really done anything with it. But when Swami told us, that's when we really dived in. I think that was around 2010 or so that happened. Yeah, I don't know what we would do without cutting ties, really.
Absolutely.
Phyllis had told us once that Swami had told her that the cutting ties work is given by him, and that most of the people who come to cutting ties will have completed most of their past karma, and through the cutting ties work, God will help them to finish off their remaining karma. Now, if I don't know, if that's not like a good deal, then I don't know what is. I mean, it's pretty great. So cutting ties, right? There's one question related to that one about the person who's having anger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anger, of course, I think anger seems to be a common issue. But again, use cutting ties to cut ties with the root cause of anger and its effect on you. But also remember that if you eat meat, if you are a non-vegetarian person, you will have anger. So the answer lies pretty much in there, that if you're eating meat, you will be an angry person. Because the anger, the hatred, the fear that the animal has when it's being killed, you're eating that, you're consuming that. And guess what? You're becoming that.
Yeah. So moving on to...
So it's high time we stop bringing decorated meat onto our plates, It's the golden age is not going to tolerate that vibration.
Those low vibrations won't last anymore. Remember what we said. It's like if you were going to the airport and trying to pass through security and you've got a gun in one pocket and a knife in the other, nobody's going to let you through. And with these low vibrations of anger, hatred, jealousy, lust, pride, greed, sloth, it's a long list. If you're still carrying those things around, you won't be allowed to enter into the golden age. You have to let go of these rigid structures of third dimensional thinking that we all carry with us. And, many of us ask for God to heal us. And in fact, in the Cutting Ties work, when we do the Maypole, we ask for God to send us healing energies. But really, the healing that we need is to be freed from these old distorted thoughts, distorted beliefs, outdated practices, and others.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
That's the real golden age, when we're free from those things.
Yes.
How to deal with criticism others, how to deal with the physical loss of a loved one. These are all Cutting Ties work. Just figure 8 and then you're done. I mean, we can tell you do this meditation, that meditation, or you can do figure 8 for 2 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes in the evening, and then you're free.
Yeah. Especially, to release yourself from the trauma of loss of a loved one or from any other type of trauma. You can use the Cutting Ties symbols and free yourself.
Yeah. Somebody asked, can we meet our deceased loved one after their death?
You can, but we would not recommend that.
Don't bother with those things. Yeah.
It's time to move on.
Another question I had read, this is a golden agey type question. I had read that the golden age is a special period of 10,000 years within the Kali Yuga that only a few people can feel. Is this true, or is it really the Satyuga? Okay, listen, this is how it is. Yugas are not a span of years, okay? It's not 10,000 years. It's not 20,000 years. It doesn't matter. That's all BS. Yugas are a span of consciousness. Understand, each yuga is a span of consciousness. Satya Yuga is the highest level of consciousness. There's no time in that yuga. Then you go to Treta Yuga, okay? Then you go to Dwapara Yuga. Then you go to Kali Yuga. When you go from Treta Yuga to Dwapara Yuga, there's a huge drop in consciousness. When you go to Kali Yuga, things get really bad. And at the end of the Kali Yuga, right now, as we're finishing the Kali Yuga, it's already over, but the last remnants are there. That's when that asuric energy, that's when that negative energy tends to come out. It all has to be cleaned. In our Puranas, in the old Indian stories, there is a story of how the Devas and the Asuras got together to churn the ocean of milk. They wanted to get the divine nectar out. And as they churned, the very first thing that came out was a tremendous poison called Hala Hala. Okay, and it was consumed by the Lord in his form as Shiva to prevent the world from being destroyed. Now, guess what's happening now? What's happening now is that all of us are being churned, just like this, just like what happened in the olden days, but on an inner level. And all that poison inside of us is coming out. That's what's happening. So you forget about this stuff like, when exactly is the golden age? The truth is the golden age started some few years ago, but it's like a fan that when you turn off, the effects of Kali Yuga will continue for some time. And just like a fan that you turn on, it takes a while to reach full speed. How long? It depends on you and me and everybody else. But it can happen immediately if you just follow what we discussed in the Golden Age seminar. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, next question. How can we be committed to sadhana, spiritual practice, such as meditation, repeating the divine name, in the same state of mind every time, the same way? Many times, inclination to be connected to the higher self is not intense.
Well, here, if we go into, an awareness of everything that we are doing is divine. Spirituality is all-inclusive. So why are we creating the separation that this is a spiritual practice and this is not? So if whether I am eating food, whether I'm watching a movie, whether I'm going on a fun trip, or whether I am at work, everything is divine as long as I am sharing it with all of creation. And the minute I'm sharing that experience, that love with all of creation, instead of it being a selfish or a instant gratification type of experience, if I just close my eyes and say, may all of creation enjoy this as I am enjoying it now, may all beings be filled with love and light, and so it is. So that becomes your sadhana. That becomes sharing love. That becomes love all, serve all.
Love is everything. I mean, sadhana doesn't have to be so serious, In fact, we were once told that, actually Swami had said once, the moment you become serious, you are no longer living. So our sadhana, our spiritual practice should be fun. No, we don't need to put on a stern face or a castor oil face. We should make our sadhana, our spiritual practice fun. We should be so delighted when we're doing our sadhana, and anything else for that matter. That happiness is a real sign of spiritual progress. In fact, I remember once Sai Baba had asked us a question. This was during the time when we were getting almost regular interviews, when we would go from Bangalore to Puttaparthi to see him. And he said, do you know why you too have so much divine grace? Now, obviously, when you're asked that type of question, you don't ask, you don't respond, you just wait. So we kept silent, and Sai Baba said, because no matter what happens, you are always happy. Always happy. And this being happy is really the first step in spiritual practice, right? So don't be morose, please don't be sad, please be happy. Yeah. Okay.
One practice that we can recommend also is that, when you get up in the morning, just close your eyes and take a deep breath and just go deep within and understand what's going on. How are you feeling? For example, are you cranky? Are you okay? Or are you irritated? Or are you stressed? And then just simply remind yourself, this is the mind, body, ego. It's not me. I am the Atma and I am perfect. Just go into that space and watch how things unfold.
I am the Atma. I am perfect. We had a lot of questions about the Devas, right? How do you connect with them? What's the difference between the Devas and Swami? What role do they play? So forth. So do you want to take that?
Yeah. I love the Devas. Yeah. So for those of you who are wondering why we should be praying to the Devas, well, Swami himself had asked us to share with people on how to connect with the Devas. He had himself said, there are so many Devas waiting to help people, but nobody's calling, he said. And you may also choose to read the Satya Sai Vahini. There is an entire chapter dedicated to the Devas, and Swami has explained in that chapter on why we need to connect with the Devas and how they are going to help. And the fact that so much help is available. So we will definitely recommend that. But understand that the Devas are like your divine brothers and sisters. They are all the time with you. They are your divine friends. And Swami is the Mahadeva. So this is just an expansion in your own consciousness to understand that this is what creation is like. And that for every aspect, for every little matter, there is a Deva whom you can call on for help. And it doesn't need to be anything complicated. I mean, we received questions on how should we invoke the Devas, how can we feel their presence. A simple thing is just ask for help. Just say, dear Devas, please help me. It's that simple.
And when you send them love, that strengthens a connection to the devas, right? So just send them love, and that connection is like having a small, a very slow wireless connection versus a high-speed internet connection. Just sending them love speeds things up and allows their help to manifest for you much faster.
Right. They respond to that.
Yeah,
love.
it's easy. It's love is everything, right? How can we understand the widespread prevalence of mental health problems in the golden age, and how can we support those who have problems?
Right. So understand that as the vibration is changing, a lot of people are not able to cope with that vibration, and you can see the craziness that is actually manifesting itself. So for many people who are not able to cope with that vibration, we see that being manifested as mental illnesses. So whether it's a schizophrenia, or whether it's depression, or whether any of those, that set of illnesses. Gun violence,
Yeah.
exactly. So, in fact, Swami had told me in one dream that he said, at one point of time, people will start going mad. So hence it becomes very important for all of us to be very centered, very anchored in our own sadhana, in our own practice, so that we are not swayed by this outside vibration. You will probably see more craziness in the coming few years. You're already seeing it, but it's going to only get worse, in the sense that those who are not able to vibrate at that consciousness of love, you will probably find it's getting manifested as illnesses within them, whether mental or physical.
They'll go away. Their bodies won't be able to adapt to the higher vibrations, and they'll leave the planet. They'll go on to someplace else that suits their current evolution.
Or another thing could be that there is a lot of built up karma that they're working out, you know, and this vibration is actually allowing them to quickly finish up their karma. What a gift that is. Yeah.
Yes, it moves very fast. So you also have to move fast in your sadhana, in your practice, and in your going higher and higher and higher. Now, people asked us the 9 keys that we gave, where did we get those from? And it's a funny thing, because we just tune into Swami, into the higher consciousness. That is the same for all of us, both of us tuned in together. And this is what was shown to us. Now, understand that when we are speaking to you, what matters is actually not what we say. That is hardly 5% of what you would benefit. What really matters when we are speaking is the consciousness with which we speak. That energy flowing to you is what will elevate you. Doing this practice and that practice actually is irrelevant. What matters is raising your vibration, raising your consciousness. And the easiest way to do that is to tune into the consciousness with which we spoke. Again, it's not the words, it's the vibration or consciousness with which those words are said. We could have been talking about cricket and the same thing would have happened, right? So it's just that vibration that matters. Everything is consciousness.
Right. Yeah. And also this leads us to the next question, that is if I am doing balvikas, or if I am doing bhajans or seva, does that amount to sadhana? Of course it is sadhana, but then that is pretty much of the first step. And we have to understand that you have to go beyond, you have to move forward, and you have to go back to the truth. You have to live the truth. You have to be the truth. So attending satsangs or watching videos and all that, so that's helping you, it's reminding you in some way, but it's still external focus. It is still not you practicing being God. Right? So now take it forward and just be in that awareness that I am God and so is everything and everyone else.
Just pretend as if you're already a realized master. See, it doesn't matter if you forget. Everybody forgets. We also forget. It's okay. It's not a big deal. But as soon as you remember, start again. Just pretend. As what would you do? How would you be if you were already a highly realized master? What would you do? A highly realized yogi. Just be like that. It doesn't mean that there's no change in say the external motions that you make. You don't have to grow long hair and all that stuff. But just as if, how would it be? How would you speak? How would you feel? How would you think? How would you share that love? Just be like that. And that's enough. No? And if you forget, it's all right. Just start again.
Yeah. Be kind to yourself. It's really okay.
Love yourself. No? Yeah. Stand in front of the mirror every day and tell yourself, I love you, I love you, I love you. Great.
Dress up well and then look at yourself in the mirror and say, oh, Swami, you can't look better than this.
Awesome. So with that...
I think there are a few more questions.
A few more? Okay. All right. Which ones?
I think yeah. So if we go back to this point that if you practice living in the truth that you are divine and so is everything else, then whether somebody else is being negative or whether you're in negative environments, it actually doesn't matter. It won't have any difference. Just because you are raising your vibration or you are already vibrating at that level, everyone or everything else will also come up to that level, right? So you don't allow yourself to go down. And let's constantly not be in that space that, oh, others are negative, my workspace is negative, the other environments are negative. No. You practice on raising your vibration. You practice on raising your awareness and constantly telling yourself, I am God and so is everyone and everything else. Tattvamasi.
I am God. I am not different from God. God alone exists. Everything is God. Simple. Just keep practicing, keep repeating, keep believing, and then you'll know it. It'll happen.
Yes. I think we can take one more question. Will the chakra energy centers and karma no longer be in play in the Satyuga?
Chakra energy centers and karma. This is getting into esoteric things. Karma is always there. As long as you have a physical body, there will be karma. As long as you think that you are the one who's doing the action, right? Once you realize, and as we had said before, just following God's will, God's sankalpa through you, then you're free of any karma from those actions. So I wouldn't worry about chakra energy centers and karma and things like that, because as you grow in awareness, these things will take care of themselves. It'll really sort itself out. It's not something that you would need to be concerned with right now. The main thing is for you to realize that you are God. You've always been God. You are God in a dream body, in a dream creation, having a dream experience. Wake up from that dream and know that you are the self with a capital S. Not you, the body, not you, the mind, not you, the personality or the name or ego. Those are irrelevant. They don't exist. But you, the true self, are God. And that is always the truth. So thank you for joining us. We will see you again in the future on future webinars. So please continue to stay tuned. Please practice. And when you come back next time, tell us how awesome your life has become since you started practicing what we have shared with you. Great.
Thank you and Sai Ram.